just a little update on everything that's going on. So, as you know, Tesla denied the buyback. I think I made a video saying that Tesla also denied the appeal, which really comes as no surprise. You know, they're going to try to get out of it any way they possibly can. The next step in my list of plans was to contact a lemon law attorney and try to move forward with that. And I did contact a lemon law attorney. I submitted all the evidence that I had to them as far as, you know, here's what we've got. And I did finally hear back. It took 2 weeks, which I didn't think. I was like, you know, they told me 5 days and they would get with me in 2 weeks. But 2 weeks later, they finally did send me back and basically just said that there wasn't enough evidence really to move forward. The thing about lemon law is, you know, it may have been in service for X amount of days. It may have been down for X amount of days. But at the end of the day, it either needs to hit 40 days of being down, which it has not. I think it's at like 9 so far. 40 days of being down, or you have to have reported the same issue 3 times. 4 really. They have to attempt to repair it a 4th time, and it has to still be unrepaired at the 4th time. Now, while some of my issues I felt were on their 4th repair, it's not quite as open and shut as that. What's going on out here? I may have to put the camera down. As you might can see, there's some lights going on, and I'm probably not going to be able to hold the camera while doing that. Basically, if you have an issue and they try to fix that issue, they will acknowledge the issue and say, oh yeah, we see that as an issue and we will fix it. But if you have that issue again, it's no longer an issue. It's a non-issue. It's just well, that's how they work kind of thing. And so that's kind of been my experience on just about everything. When I report a problem, they may address it, you know, the first time and try to fix it, try to come up with a solution. But when they can't come up with a solution, the next time I address the issue, it's not an issue. Oh, well, that's just normal operation of the vehicle, or there's no issue. We couldn't find it. We couldn't replicate it. And the lawyer said that that's how they get out of this, basically. Because you can't go to court and point out issues that the company says don't exist. It's he said versus she said at that point, and they're not going to take that. They're not going to, you know, use that as evidence. It has to be something that I said was an issue, and then the company acknowledged it being an issue, and then tried to say, well, you know, we tried to fix it 4 times and we couldn't. That's when you've got an open and shut lemon law. When on the 2nd or 3rd attempt, they say, oh, this is not an issue. Well, now you've got a fight. And it's not impossible. You can use that as evidence, because the last 1st or 2nd times that you've went, and they acknowledge that there was an issue, and now all of a sudden it's not an issue, but it's the same problem happening over and over again. That's definitely something you can argue and say, well, suddenly it's no longer an issue, but it becomes more of a hassle to try to argue it and win than if they just admitted, hey, we've seen this issue 4 times, we weren't able to fix it, so open and shut lemon law. So that's kind of what Tesla's doing. They're admitting many of my issues exist, and then flip-flopping to, well, that's not an issue, and then, you know, I don't have a clear open and shut case as to moving forward with a buyback. So the attorney wants me to continue collecting evidence, continue scheduling service visits, and, you know, keep a copy of every record provided through those service visits. And he wants me to share them with him just as soon as I get something new every time. And once he thinks we have enough evidence, we'll move forward. But as of today, he doesn't think there's enough evidence to continue this charade. So that leaves me with the next steps of my plans and where do we go from here. I had said that if the buyback fell through, I was going to contact an attorney. I did. And I had said that if the attorney falls through, I may look into doing a trade-in, because they had offered me $84,000 for the truck on trade-in. The problem with that is I'm not completely sold on the idea of getting a Model Y at this point. I don't think I need one. I have two, and yeah, I could always sell one of the two I've got, but I would be taking about a $45,000 loss on my CyberTruck just by doing that transaction. I don't really want to take another loss on either one of my Ys just because I don't need so many Ys. Doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to do that. So I would probably end up with 3 Model Ys, to be perfectly honest with you. And 3 Model Ys, I don't know. I don't need it. It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but I just don't need it. And then, I would not have a truck, which would be a bigger gripe for me of not having a truck than having 3 cars that I don't absolutely need. So I think the benefits outweigh the downsides on keeping the Cybertruck at this point. It's not undrivable. It's just got a few issues that annoy me for a $120,000 vehicle. I wouldn't spend $120,000 on a vehicle and not expect it to be perfect at this point. I mean, when you're putting that kind of money up, it needs to be right near perfect. And it definitely isn't. It definitely has its flaws. It definitely has issues. And I'm just asking Tesla originally just to fix those issues. That's all. It doesn't seem like it's the end of the world. And if the front suspension issue that I'm having, which only happens on the Beast models, by the way, is specific to the Beast model, and there's obviously an issue with the Beast model. All-wheel drives don't have that problem at all. I even offered to them a compromise in that they would swap me into an all-wheel drive foundation and refund the $20,000, the difference between the all-wheel drive and the Cyber Beast. I told them that I would probably be happier in an all-wheel drive just because I know it would ride smoother. I know it wouldn't have this suspension issue. I know it wouldn't eat my front tires because that's what the Beast does. And I don't, 2.5 seconds, 0 to 60, 2.6 is a party trick. It is not a requirement. The all-wheel drive Foundation series would be plenty fast. But they weren't even interested in that. I told them, it doesn't have to be a buyback situation. Buyback is great, but if that's off the table, I would be open to doing a trade. Trade me into a Foundation series and then work out something for that extra 20. You don't have to refund the whole 20, but work out a deal with me on that, where I'm not trading my truck and paying a difference to get an all-wheel drive. I don't want to trade. I want you to acknowledge that there's a problem and make a compromise to fix it. So yeah, I don't know. We're just at a stalemate right now, and honestly, I think I'll just continue doing what I'm doing. Go to the service visits, continue reporting issues, and continue in communication with my lawyer, because at this point, that's the route we've taken. It's not completely a no, it's just a not right now. So I guess my thing is, do I go trade it? I don't think so. There's really not anything else I would want. The only other vehicle I would consider is maybe like a Lightning, but I don't like the Lightning. I think the software is really junk. Not a fan. So I don't know. I guess I'll just keep the truck. And if the buyback situation ends up becoming a reality, I'm going to have a ton of miles on it by then, but it'll probably be worth more than I would have gotten trade-in at the time anyway, so I can't complain much. But for right now, I'm going to have to go buy tires and put on it. It's almost to the end of its tire life. I'm expecting maybe 2,000 or 3,000 more miles, so maybe 2 or 3 more months, and I have to start looking into replacing those tires. I'm kind of looking for a good deal. I know that Black Friday's coming up a couple months, and that's probably what I'm going to try to do. Try to get a Black Friday deal on some tires or something. I missed the July 4th. That was when I was going to do it last, and I decided to hold off because of this whole buyback situation. Didn't know if it was going to go through or not. So, but the July 4th sale would have saved me quite a bit. Rather than $2,000 for a set, it would have been more like $1,600. So I was liking that idea, but at this point, I don't see any need to run and jump into anything. $2,000 set of tires. I'm going to wait until the sale comes up. Then we'll go that route. So yeah, that's where we're at on that. I feel like there was probably something else I was going to talk about, but I forgot what it was. So yeah, that's the update on the truck, and that's how it goes.